What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Rachel, and today's video is going to be talking about like the healthy, happy habits that we can implement in our lives so that we can be healthier and happier. And yeah, so on my Instagram story, I actually talked about which sounded a little bit more interesting. A lot of you guys voted on the Healthy Happy Habits Blueprint over the Sexy Sculpt Summer Blueprint. So today we are going to talk about how you can get healthier habits. If you are interested in doing this, first, please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It really helps my channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. And on top of that, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy this type of content. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So right now I'm going to be traveling for about a month, 3 of which will be with, actually all of them will be with Kevin, but one weekend, which is next weekend, or this coming weekend actually, is going to be Vegas. So that's going to be super exciting, but I don't have my gear with me, aka my backdrop. So you can go ahead and enjoy this cute girl right here. So I'm actually going to be, well, first off, I'm on the floor right now because I don't have like a chair. My setup right now is right by the windowsill. So I'm really hoping that the clouds don't like block the sunlight and just change the way that the sun is appearing in this video, which I think right now it's doing. I just totally jinxed it. But let's go ahead and get started with this video. I do have it on my phone right now, and I'm just gonna be like on the side reading it off just so that I'm not stuttering on my words, because we all know how much editing can take up all of our lives, and if I continuously stutter, that's a lot of like cut, and yeah, just like a lot of cutting. So I know with summer coming around, it can be a little bit intimidating just because, you know, like instinctively we just want to be able to feel very comfortable in our bodies and look good and feel sexy, etc. I love my body, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to better it, right? So for me, I just want to make it so that I feel more comfortable with my body and improve it. There's nothing wrong with wanting to improve your body at all whatsoever. These are 5 tips that I'm going to be giving to you guys so that you'd be able to implement this a little bit and see the little small changes that you can do in your lives so that you can implement a healthier and longer and happier life. So the first one is, and I always hear this all the time, the first one is just don't cut carbs out of your diet. I feel as though there's such a massive misconception when it comes to eating healthy and you can only eat clean foods. Like, no, I mean, if you enjoy that, if you genuinely enjoy that, then that's absolutely okay. For me, I can't just all of a sudden cut out bread and pasta. That's just not me. Or rice. I mean, so I think the most important one is to definitely don't cut out the carbs just because you're eating healthy, because that eventually leads to the restriction that you feel, and then all of a sudden that's all you're thinking about. So for example, if you can't have that pasta or that bread and you just feel so restricted, so that's all that you're thinking about, and your thoughts and your mind is consumed with eating that specific carb. And so if you're constantly in the state of restriction and you have that mentality, you're going to eventually fall off and then binge and then feel guilty, and then it's just like it's not healthy, you guys. And so I think it's just really important to be aware of what is going on with your diet. For example, if you're out in a restaurant and you tend to order Coke or Pepsi or Sprite or any of those drinks, maybe substitute it for, instead of getting that soda, maybe you can go ahead and grab that water or the sparkling water, I think it's called soda water, so that you still have that carbonation, but you're not ingesting those extra calories on the side. So I think that's also like a really good substitute for you guys. The next one that I'm actually going to be talking about is choosing healthier alternatives when you're eating out. And so just because you're in like this cutting phase or this shredding phase, you don't want to all of a sudden not be able to go out with your friends or your family, because honestly, eating out is a social gathering. If all of a sudden you feel as though you can't eat out anymore, then that just turns into like an unhealthy relationship that you've associated with eating out, with bad foods, and your relationship with like your friends and your family, or maybe it's an intimate relationship. So I know that eating out, you can be really confused about like the portions that you're being fed. You're not really sure like how much oil, for example, has been used to cook that specific meal that you have in front of you. So if anything, just like swap out really simple things. For example, if you tend to order like fries with your ribs, maybe instead order those sweet potato fries, because even that is a healthy alternative that you can use to substitute so that you can have like a better meal. The third one, which I feel like so many people just don't think about, is getting adequate amount of sleep. I've been listening to this podcast, and it's the Peter Attia Drive with it's Dr. Matthew Walker, and he's done like so much research when it comes to sleep, and he actually says that adults need about 8 hours of sleep or more, and children need 9 to 10 hours of sleep or more. And that's just so that like you don't send, like for example, I could like go in this massive topic about this, but I feel like I'm kind of underqualified. Getting adequate amounts of sleep, like you will lower your cortisol levels, and you will like, that is your stress hormone right there. You will lower that. And so that in turn helps with like your body understanding like, okay, well, I'm not stressed anymore. That means I can focus some of the energy that I'm using to burn some extra fat that I can shed, rather than using it on that specific thing that I'm stressed about. So there is actually like a ton of research that goes into how sleep can be really detrimental to your overall health. And in addition, it could also lead to developing this protein called beta amyloid. And that is something where if it builds up to the point where it's a lot, it could actually cause Alzheimer's disease. So like I said, I just don't feel very qualified talking about it, but I have done a little bit of research, and I do know that that is a true statement. And I will go ahead and leave a link down below if you want to read a little bit more about that. But get adequate amount of sleep, you guys. Like, that's so underrated. Everyone is always preaching, I only got like 5 hours of sleep, I don't need that much sleep to function. And honestly, like I was that person who like did not need a lot of sleep in college. I would run on like 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep max, and then go grab like an energy drink, even though I know that caffeine doesn't really affect me, and I don't know why. That's something that our society has deemed to be respectable, and I completely disagree now that I have become more informed and more knowledgeable about this topic. The fourth one, this is 8. The fourth one is create like a more active routine, and you can do that in so many different ways. I know that a lot of us have like a very sedentary job, whether that be like in an office setting or your work consists of being in front of your laptop a lot. And same with me, I've learned that getting up and walking can actually clear your mind, and it'll make you think a little better, and you will actually tackle your problems in a better manner. This is like super simple too. And I mean, I know it can get really difficult to just kind of push it to the side. Like, you need to sit at your desk because you need to get this work done. Like, you need to get this done. Because I've totally been there, you guys. Like, I would never leave my desk because I feel as though if I take one thing off my plate, like 5 things come back on there, and it just piles up. And that can actually lead to so much stress being built up. I think the one thing that actually helped me and like kept my sanity, literally, you guys, was going for like a quick 15 to 30 minute walk. Even on one of our breaks, just go on a walk around the building a couple of times, and that'll really aid in decreasing your stress levels and making you think in a very sharp cognitive manner. I super recommend it during work, but if you don't have time to actually do that, maybe when you go back home, if you live by yourself, or maybe with your significant other, or like you have a dog, then you can go and take them out for a couple of minutes. Like, if you take your dog out to walk, your dog will be very appreciative, because that's like quality time that they spent with you, and 2, it just gets you more active. And on top of that, if you do have a significant other or like a family member, you can go out for a stroll around the block a couple of times and just talk about like how your days were. And I feel like that really keeps you grounded, and it makes it so that you're still present. You're not just kind of like, oh no, I have this and to do, and then you just kind of get lost in your thoughts. So it really keeps you present, and it really helps with that mentality of just being in the now. And then the final tip that I have, which is the 5th one, is just to gain a little bit of insight as to what you're putting in your body. Like, just be very wary of what you are ingesting, and that could even be the simple things that you eat at work, when you're bored or when you're stressed. Even the small things make a massive difference. So if, for example, you have fruit, or you have a bag of hot Cheetos or something in front of you at your desk at work, and you instinctively reach for the hot Cheetos, like, notice that and change it, and so that you will create healthier habits. And on top of that, I also feel a lot of people tend to miscalculate how much they're eating, what they are ingesting, and the health level of it, I guess. My recommendation for that is honestly just track what you're eating for a solid 2 weeks. Absolutely do not change anything. Don't make anything different just because you're tracking. Just gain an insight as to what your maintenance calories are so that you can adjust if you want to and either increase it or decrease it based on your goals. That way you have like an anchor so that you actually know where you're at. Also understand when you are craving things and how you can curb those cravings. Maybe you just have to realize that you're just bored and not actually hungry per se. Understand that and also know like what your triggers are will really aid in fat loss if that is your goal. Because you guys, fat loss begins with an understanding of what your maintenance calories are. You can't just kind of like guesstimate and then like cut out the carbs like what I said for the first one. That's just not how it works, because eventually, like I said, you will be really restricted and go on like a vicious cycle of binging, then like binging when the weekend comes, and then when Monday comes, you're like, okay, I'm gonna restart, and this goes on and on for like months, maybe sometimes even years, and that just gets really frustrating and confusing. So make sure to track for at least 2 weeks. Don't change anything. Keep your normal routine, see what your maintenance calories are, and go from there. All right, you guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this type of video, and I hope that you found it a little helpful with summer coming around the corner and you're just kind of like freaking out. I deeply appreciate the fact that you guys trust me with this kind of information and with your health and fitness. I don't know how else to put it into words other than that, but I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps my channel a ton. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification bell if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.